talk money. It's Tax Tuesday, and time to get your questions answered about filing your taxes. And you've been sending us some of your questions, and we've got a few right now. And one of the questions has been about the upcoming tolls on the Midtown and downtown tunnels connecting Norfolk and Portsmouth. Will the toll charges be tax deductible if you pay them, and if it's because you're on your way to and from work? Joining us now is tax expert Toby McClarty with Jackson Hewitt Tax Services. Welcome to Midday.
Thank you, thank you.
So can I claim the tolls?
You know, if it was a temporary work location, you could probably claim any tolls going to and from, but just getting to and from work is usually commuting, not deductible. You're expected to have to get to and from work.
Now, let's see if we can find a little loophole in there somewhere. What if traveling is part of my job, like I'm based in Portsmouth, but I'm back and forth to Norfolk because I'm hitting a sales call here or some other stop there?
If it's like a seminar or something where you're going to go once in a while, you go to work and then you go from this location to another location, you can write off your tolls in between and your mileage in between.
Okay, so keep your receipts?
Yes, absolutely. You never know.
And
always bring them.
Better to have the receipts than to give an estimate?
Right.
Because one day you may have to
provide your documentation to the IRS. Exactly. Always keep your receipts, at least for 3 years.
Now, for those who've been out of the job market and are getting back into it, and that job requires that they do certain things that will generate expenses, what are some of the expenses that you need to know about that you can claim?
You can deduct things like resume writing fees and some job hunting expenses. Different one. It would depend on your situation, but primarily in the same field that you're already in, not a new field.
Give me an example.
Maybe you're taking additional education to further your current field. You could deduct that education expense. Okay,
and once you're on the job and you're generating some expenses, what are those expenses that you can deduct?
Uniforms, dues, maybe you have safety tools, safety goggles, gloves, steel-toed boots, equipment that you use with work, those are usually deductible. And maybe a portion of your cell phone if you need to have a cell phone for work.
This is also something that should pique the eyebrow or pique the ears of folks who are doing a lot of volunteering. There may be some expenses involved with that?
Sure. Any out-of-pocket expense you have that has to do with volunteer work, you can deduct. Maybe you're coaching a Little League team and you need to purchase equipment for them, then you would be able to deduct those expenses.
And here's one of those questions you're getting on a regular basis, having to do with a student, and a student who's in college. If I claim my daughter as a dependent because she's a full-time college student, can she claim herself?
When you claim your child, what you are claiming is their exemption, and there's one per person. So if the parent claims the child can still file a tax return, but they will not claim their own exemption. They can still get a standard deduction depending on how much their earnings are.
All right. You're doing very well, by the way.
Okay.
Got one more question for you since you're on a roll. Is there an age limit on claiming my child as a dependent?
If they're a full-time student, you can claim them up to 24. So that's pretty much, under 24, so 23 and under. If they're up to 18 otherwise, 18 and under. And then if they're not a full-time student, but they're still living with you, and you're still supporting them, and they're making less than the exemption amount for that year, then you can generally claim them. So you might still be able to claim that child for a while.
Okay, one of the reasons to keep the door open.
Right, well.
And not change the lock.
I don't know, it's not a big tax credit.
Toby McClarty with Jackson Hewitt Tax Services, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And we've just kicked off our live tax tips chat on wavy.com. Jackson Hewitt Tax Expert is on hand right now to answer your questions live in our online chat. That's until 1:30 this afternoon. And we'll be back here next Tuesday with Jackson Hewitt. And until then, you can give them a call at 1-800-234-1040. That's 1-800-234-1040 for answers to your tax questions, or you can email them to midday@wavy.com.